Hello, welcome to Reality Vomit Podcast, an extension of the Vomit series of podcasts. As always, I'm your host, Mac Taylor, and today we are here to talk some more Challenge All-Stars Episode 2, All That You Can't Leave Behind. Guys, I am absolutely loving this season of the Challenge. I love the All-Star concept. I love seeing, familiar faces that we haven't seen in a long time coming back. With some business to settle. It's been a blasty blast so far. I hope this is something they continue to do. I hope there's a season 2 and a 3 and so on and so forth, because we can always have these two different challenge stories happening. We have the normal challenge with the younger contestants who are still trying to live their young adult lives, and then for the older people who still want to go at this, but maybe want a little more time-sensitive game. The people like, Wes and CT can't be on the normal show forever, right? So, I would love to see, these dueling challenges happening. I'm loving it. I can't wait to discuss more starting right now. So after the first elimination, everyone's on edge. A lot of those older challenge competitors haven't really seen it get real like the challenge, leaned into in later seasons. People like Kendall, like Teck, like Latarian to a degree. These like Arissa, they haven't really seen things get difficult. And Trishelle and Katie, the whole episode really revolves around Trishelle and Katie, because they are former roommates, not on reality TV, but IRL, about 15, 20 years ago. They were former roommates, BFFs. They were in each other's weddings. So they have a closeness that not a lot of people on this show have, of being just like, a lot of these people know each other. They've partied together. They've spent a lot of time together, but they haven't really had that real close bond. So, they're kind of hoping to bring that to the game, to be able to work together and rely on each other. Kendall also, for someone who is a one-and-doner, her one and only season was the Gauntlet, the original Gauntlet. She is very good shape. She's a yoga machine. And Derek seems to take a liking to her, as far as, I think he respects her a lot. I think he knows she's trying to prove something, because they're talking about, she's like, I'm not really here for the money. I'm here to kind of just prove to my kids and myself, in a way, that I'm still able to compete like this. Which, respect. $500,000 is great. Even she's like, the money's great, but I'm the reason I'm here is not because of solely because of the money, and that's good. And I think Derek sees that fire in her and really wants to see her prove herself. Trishelle, meanwhile, men's fences with Anissa for the shit she said to her in Rivals 2, I believe, was that season. Completely, out of nowhere, too. Trichelle's like, are you black, Jewish, lesbian? It was kind of similar to, I believe, the Gauntlet 2, when Robin said the same thing to Anissa. So Anissa's had this weird-ass conversation that makes no sense with two different people. And her and Robin mended those fences a long time ago. But this is really the first time Trechele and Anissa have been together since Rivals 2, I guess. So they're, finally getting that out in the open. And Anissa's like, I let that go. I forgave you. Obviously, it's fucked up that you said that. But, we both need to move on. And so it was nice to see them just organically, not on a season like Rivals or something where you're kind of forced to kind of go over these bridges. Just organically, they just talked it out. And it was nice. So, and it's kind of a wholesome moment that we don't really get a lot of on the challenge, because it gets real nasty sometimes. So it's nice to see some people, being okay with each other. So we get the classic trivia challenge where they're suspended 30 feet above the water, and this time they have to, if they get a question wrong, they take a step, and each tile they take a step on is weaker than the last. Which this kind of lends an advantage to those who are lighter, because people like Teck and Arissa, who don't really weigh a lot, and Ruthie are going to be able to make it a little further, whereas people like Big Easy they're going to fall through on the first weaker board. People like Mark, who are solid muscle LT. So this challenge is kind of modeled after the lighter person, unless you're super good at trivia. If you nail trivia, you could be heavy and still win. It's not, completely uneven. It's just, there's a little bit of an advantage for someone who's lighter. And TJ loves this challenge because he loves seeing people fall distances into water, which I also enjoy, seeing people falling distances into water. So, I too was living for this challenge. And this also makes 2 challenges that ended up in the water back-to-back. So contestants are learning if they haven't already. There's going to be a lot of water this time around. So basically, it's a women's elimination day. So, the men are playing for the lifesaver. The women are playing for safety. So we start with the men, as theirs isn't as important. There's not as much of the line here. The elimination order is as such: Cyrus, Yes, Big Easy, LT, Mark, Derek, Darrell, and Alton, leaving Teck and Nehemiah. So that's the second time Teck's, done okay in the challenge. Nehemiah has shined, because Teck was the captain last time. He didn't really contribute that much to the challenge, but Nehemiah beasted that last challenge, and Nehemiah is doing really good here. Really good to see Nehemiah get the spotlight too, because in a lot of his challenges of past, he really hasn't gotten that great screen time. So this is good stuff for Nehemiah. So Teck ultimately loses. Nehemiah gets the lifesaver. All good stuff there. And for some reason, Beth thinks that Nehemiah would use it on her. She really thinks. I think Beth is delusional. It's almost like she's stuck in the duel. She doesn't have any memories post-duel, because she thinks that her and Nehemiah are so close, and Nehemiah would be obligated to save her. Nehemiah doesn't. I don't even think Nehemiah likes Beth. If he does, he tolerates Beth. He would never save Beth. He has no reason to. Because the one time he worked with Beth in the duel, he was out pretty early because of it. So he ain't going anywhere near Beth. He's separating himself. He should. So it's strange that Beth says that. Then the girls step up. John A., she's like, hey, I'm not leaving my family to just lose early, which I totally get. But for some reason, they did not give a clear cut footage on this. I'm still figuring it out per se, but I guess that Ruthie and Teck are aligned. I don't know. I guess they met, through the challenge scene or whatever. But it seems like they're fairly close. Ruthie talks about oh, I hope Teck wins it because I want him to have the lifesaver. He'd save me. Teck says pretty much the same thing about Ruthie. I want Ruthie to be safe. Ruthie's my girl. And I'm like, when did you guys become so close? And if it did there's a talk of it in the house. Can we get that footage? I know there's a lot of Katie and Trishelle stuff to cover in this episode, but I'm like, I have some serious questions about the Teck and Ruthie thing. I just don't know where that came from. Nevertheless, the girls step up to the plate. Katie gets a question wrong about the Gauntlet 2, which was her season. And the quote from Anissa, she was literally standing by Anissa when she said it. And Anissa's like, Katie, what are you doing? That was me. And she's like, I don't remember what Jimmy said 5 minutes ago. How the hell am I supposed to remember what Anissa said 20 years ago? It's pretty good stuff. Katie is one of my favorite challenge competitors because of she's a firecracker, and she's got great confessionals, great moments. So I love some Katie on the screen. So we continue with the women's round. The elimination order is as such, and the first one eliminated will automatically enter the elimination. So Trishelle is out first, so she is going into the elimination tonight. Followed by Gisela, Jonna, Orissa, Kellyanne, Jemmye, Katie, and Kendall, who doesn't eat the... Like, Kendall, for some reason, like, hops forward and, like, out of the squares because the last one didn't break because she's so light. And instead of just going back and falling through, like, hopping until it breaks, she decided to just sit there and wait for someone to come get her down. She was like, well, I was worried about hitting my face. And I'm like, listen, because when Katie fell, Katie hit her face again. Like, because she smashed her face in Cutthroat, which they showed the clip for. And then this time she somehow smashed, her nose was bloody as she's swimming. She's like, I smashed my face again, you fuckers. And then they're like, Katie, you okay? She's like, shut the fuck up. That's why I love Katie. As much as she tries to contain that fireness, it comes right out. The old Katie is right around the corner at any given moment. But yeah, she smashed her face again, which is great. But Kendall refused to do that, so she sits out, and then Beth goes down, leaving Ruthie and Aneesa. Aneesa, not someone who typically, like, she's won eliminations, but she's not usually a daily challenge winner, right? Comes down to the two of them, and then, surprisingly enough, Aneesa pulls it out. Winning the challenge and being safe. And Aneesa does have a track record of going in early for these eliminations. So, it's good for her that she saved her ass here. So Trishelle's going into the arena, and she wants Beth. And instead of doing like what they did with Laterrian, everyone's like, well, actually, I think Kendall should go in because Kendall didn't even finish the challenge. Like, she just babied out of it. And she's a threat. So if you take out Kendall, then that's good for the rest of us. At least that's what Aneesa says in the confessional. So, and I understand the move. And then Trishelle is like, Katie, why are you not being, my friend and helping me get Beth? And I'm like, Trishelle, because then she turns around and says, all right, well, I'm just going to leave it up to you guys. And this assumes that everyone will give her Beth what she wants. But I'm like, Trishelle, if you want Beth so bad, like, you tell them, no, not this Kendall business. I want Beth. And just hammer that shit home. That's what Laterrian did. That's what Cyrus did. All you got to do is just keep saying what you want. And eventually, like, it's too early if people want to rock the boat. They ain't going to do that. But instead, you let the Kendall thing fester, and then you didn't even go to talk about it. Like, you didn't even, like, fight to get Beth in there. So, and then you're mad at Katie because she didn't stick her neck out, risk her own game to try to get you Beth in the arena. Like, what is wrong with you, Trishelle? Like, she expects way too much out of Katie. And just keep saying, like, well, we were roommates. Like, I had your back. And it's like, well, she's not throwing you under the bus. It wasn't her idea to put Kendall in there. But you got, like, 4 girls saying they're putting Kendall in. You're not going to go against the grain. Because this is $500,000 for Katie, too. And, Aneesa and Kellyanne really want Kendall to go in. Bad at the challenge. It seems clear-cut that Kendall's going in. So she leaves it up to the crew, gets mad at Katie. Everyone votes Kendall except for Darrell, because Darrell and Kendall were from the same Road Rules season, Road Rules Campus Crawl. And they also did, Kendall's one and only, the gauntlet, Darrell was there as well. So Darrell is not willing to put his friend up. So he kind of throws Katie's name out there, which no one gets mad at because, they know why Darrell's doing what he's doing. And Derek tells Kendall, get in there, prove why you deserve to be here. And this is like, basically, everyone has the same thing to say in the deliberation of like, Kendall, you didn't complete the task. And that's like, that should put you in the gauntlet. And she's like, yeah, but like when TJ said, when he said jump, I jumped forward, and then she's doing all these hand motions and stuttered over words, and everyone's like, yeah, well, you didn't complete it. No matter what your excuse is, you should go in. She's like, well, I think the second person who fell should go in, and that's Gisela. And Gisella's like, well, I'm clearly going to vote for you now because you threw my name out there. And everyone, even Mark's like, listen, you kind of didn't complete the challenge, and that's what this thing's for. Subtly, Mark's like, hey, I got the show made to prove we could still do this thing. You're fucking that up, Kendall. Getting the elimination. But yeah, nevertheless, great stuff. Trishelle will face Kendall in the first female elimination. After Kendall's just crazy person, flaily arm explanation. Like she looked like a robot. And then she looked like a crazy, it looked like she was like on death row, like trying to plead her innocence. It was a lot of fun. But Derek says, hey, get in there, prove why you deserve to be here, and this is all swept under the rug. Because she could still, if she wins this arena, people are going to be less likely to pick her because they'll be afraid to lose to her. Kind of the same thing with LT. I think LT is going to be safe for, at least the next one, because people don't want to, go in there with someone who's won already. So, Darrell and Kendall, Darrell's and Kendall's, cut that around that point. Darrell's in Kendall's corner. Derek's in Kendall's corner. Everyone else is kind of in Trishelle's corner. So Derek goes to Trechele, tells her that, hey, Kendall got picked. And she's like, why didn't Katie come up here and tell me? Why am I hearing this from you, Derek, and not Katie, my best friend who I was a roommate with all those years ago? Why did she not tell me? And then Katie literally walked in the room right after this and was like, hey, I had to go. I just went and got dinner real quick. I was going to tell you. And she's like, well, you should have not gotten dinner, Katie. We're roommates, Katie. Why are you even thinking about food when you should be telling your best friend, Katie, that she's going in with Kendall? Why am I hearing this from Derek, Katie? I don't know, because Derek wasn't that hungry and decided to come tell you and thought you already knew. Like, what the hell's wrong with you, Trishelle? Like, she just was coming to tell you. But then Derek got here first. Like, who cares? Who told you? She was going to talk to you about it. It's not like Katie was like, listen, guys, Kendall's going to beat Trishelle, so put Kendall in there because I hate Trishelle. Like, this is not a betrayal of a friendship. Katie's playing the game and was not going to stick her neck out when everyone was clearly going Kendall. Like, there was no way to change it. If it was split, she would help you. I don't know. It kills me sometimes. How she just Trishelle is just so quick to jump down someone's throat. And here we are at 4 a.m. and there's just a screaming match between Katie and Trishelle. Trichelle's like, you're just a trashy person. You're just a terrible person. You're disgusting. You're not, how dare you not stick your neck out for me? And Katie's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're yelling about. Like, why are you talking to me like I'm such garbage? Like, I tried, but it was going the Kendall's way. Like, we were roommates 20 years ago. Let that shit go. And it gets real. Trishelle says a lot of real fucked up shit. But I have to agree with Katie here. A lot of Katie's arguments, I'm like, whoa, Katie, you maybe took that a little too far. But I completely agree with Katie. Katie did nothing wrong here. Maybe she could have tried a little harder to push the Beth objective, but also Trishelle should have tried a little harder to push the Beth, option. If Trishelle wasn't trying that hard, why should Katie have to try harder? Trishelle, it's your life in the game. It's not Katie's. And she wasn't being aggressive. She wasn't turning her back on you. All she was doing was, trying to lay a little low and was coming in to tell you the info, and then you just lashed out at her and expect her to take it. It's fucked up. Like, as much as I love Trishelle, she's very wrong here. So the old Katie came out to tell Trishelle to shut the fuck up. So we get the not so fast elimination, which we've seen in quite a few seasons of the challenge. You have to take rope and try to tie it up in this little spider web, monkey bar situation, and then your opponent has to untie it, and whoever unties it and gets the rope back into the circle first wins the arena duel. So it's pretty close for a minute, but Kendall just has the endurance. Kendall has that cardio, and she's just able to get one over here. When everyone's rooting for Trechele, except for Derek and Darrell, but especially Darrell rooting for Kendall. But Kendall wins here, and Katie then hugs Trish and pretty much in her confessional says, like, we've grown apart. Like, this is the end of our friendship. Like, I'm telling her goodbye pretty much forever here. And it's like, damn. Like, Challenge All-Stars, you done ruined some shit. But that was a great elimination, and it makes Kendall look really good. Kendall did not look that great in the challenge portion of this episode, but she wanted to stay. She was hungry. She fought. She beat Trishelle, and now she has a good chance of going pretty far because now no one's really going to want to go into elimination with her. So really good on Kendall here for, she could have done what Trishelle did and just whined and complained and blamed anybody, but she didn't. She got picked for the arena. She went in there, she fought her ass off, and she won it. And, all kudos to Kendall. Trishelle, like she says in her leaving confessional, she should have spent less time drinking cocktails and more time maybe physically preparing for this, and maybe mentally preparing for this challenge as well. So, heading into the next episode, I think there's a certain amount of key players that are looking good and a certain amount of key players that are looking bad. I think the people that are in danger in the next couple episodes, Beth, because every girl's going to want to go in elimination with Beth. Anissa, we all know she got a temper. She could end up going in at some point soon. Arissa could end up going in at some point soon just because she doesn't have a lot of connections. And also, I think for the guys, Big Easy is someone that a lot of people would probably want to take into elimination. Teck could be someone that people look at as kind of weak. He's a smaller frame guy. People like Latarian and Cyrus, Mark, maybe want to take him in. But then the people I think Nehemiah has shined in these past couple of episodes. I think Yes. I think Gisela. I think Kendall. I think Jemmy. I think these people have really shined in the past two episodes and are kind of, it's so early. We got a lot of challenge to play. But, if I'm going to say, I'd say they're the front runners right now to do well in this competition. So with that ends the coverage on episode 2. Stay tuned next time when we're going to be talking about episode 3. I am so pumped for this season, guys. This has been so much fun. Until next time, stay safe and most importantly, stay nerdy.